Havoc, Goober, you ready for the movie, buddy? You look very excited. Chaos, are you ready for the movie? Hello everybody, my name is Joshua.
And my name is Paige.
And we'd like to welcome you back to another episode of Coffee, Cats, and King, where today we discuss movies, both new and old, share with you pictures of our cats will make you wish they were your cats, and most importantly, drink enough coffee for me, her, and everybody watching. Now, today we are back with yet another Sunday Scaries. This seems to be the only sort of programming on this channel that I actually consistently keep up with. Eventually we will talk about books again, but that is not today. Today we are getting into another classic of the horror genre. Our previous film was Jordan Peele's Us, which is a rather intelligent kind of horror.
Very thought-provoking.
So therefore I told Paige that tonight we were going to go with something a little more mindless.
Okay. A potato chip movie.
Well, sure. I guess. I don't know. I'm not familiar with you kids and your hip slang, but I wanted to go with a slasher, a classic, summer camp slasher.
Okay. I have already seen the Friday the 13th movie, so I feel like I have a good baseline.
Yes. Well, basically, if you've seen Friday the 13th, then you have seen what every other slasher movie of that era takes
trying to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And nothing really compares.
Oh.
But that said, this is it's nothing that's mind-blowing in that, but it's a decent film. One particular element of this film that gets brought up a lot, and so that is part of the reason that I wanted to watch it tonight as well, because my sibling Shy is here with us. Shy, you don't have to show up, but say hello to the people. Don't be rude.
Hi, people.
There you go. That was pretty rude, but and I wanted you to be part as well, because I think that your perspective will be...
Yeah, the mystery scene.
The mystery scene, that's right. So, tonight's film is 1983 Sleepaway Camp, because I don't want anything...
The summary?
Yes, because it's going to tell you nothing.
Bunks and the showers are a mad stabber's beat. What? Why is it worded like this? Bunks in the showers are a mad stabber's beat at a summer camp strictly for teens.
There you go.
Okay. Funny, menacing, and twisted.
There you go.
Okay.
So, this is, like I said, this is actually a pretty run-of-the-mill camp slasher.
A reg schmeg.
A reg schmeg. Sure. What is notable about this one, unlike every other slasher, including today's camp slashers, this one more sexualizes the male rather than the female. You really just don't see that. Yeah. So, we're going to get into this mindless but fun slasher movie, see what you think, see what Shy thinks. Well, we know what Chaos thinks, because he's already bored and falling asleep over there.
Aww.
Chaos, we haven't even started the movie yet, man.
He's just contemplating.
Contemplating. That's some serious contemplation. Alright, so, Havoc, take it away. Alright, I promised you a mindless slasher. Did I deliver?
It was certainly
I
mindless.
guess.
Sometimes you just need a simple, stupid horror. Now, to their credit, the movie was filmed on something like a $300,000 budget, which is tremendously low. That would barely cover the camera costs and such, you know. So it's not like they were going to be able to do anything crazy necessarily. But also to its credit, I say slasher, but the kills in this movie though are pretty interesting and entertaining, right? It's things that you don't normally see. So
I don't know if entertaining is the word that I would
okay,
use.
I find it entertaining,
I found
but
it hilarious.
okay, Shiley found it hilarious. Well, Paige, in case it's not obvious from your face, how did you find Sleepaway Camp?
There were some charming and endearing moments in terms of the 80s camp.
Nostalgia.
Yeah.
almost,
Yeah. At the same time, I'm very glad I was not alive in the 80s with
Fair
how
enough.
terrible some of the people were.
Well, thankfully, nowadays in the 2020s, everybody is just loving and kind to one another.
You know what I mean?
There were a lot of disconnected things happening. It felt very like jumpy, place to place without really any connective tissue. But I think like the kills themselves and some of the things surrounding the kills were very hilarious.
And it is one of those where you feel like people get what they deserve.
Yeah, definitely.
So the kills are satisfying in a way.
Yeah. So to catch you up, of course, we've watched the film. For those that have not watched the film, essentially this this girl goes to a summer camp with her cousin. There
It
was
takes place at a lake.
yes,
8
there
years
was
after she lost her dad and brother to a boating accident in that same lake.
yes. So she has been living with the cousin and an aunt. And so this is her first time going to the summer camp. Someone at the camp is going around hurting, maiming, eventually killing people. And in typical fashion, following exactly in the footsteps of the original Friday the 13th, the kills are all in first person. And yeah, some of them are pretty creative. We won't spoil anything because, again, with this sort of micro budget it's on, there's not a ton of them. But what is there is not your typical just, you know,
Cut 'em up style.
yeah, exactly. So, points there for some apparently not entertaining, but they're entertaining kills. Obviously, it's not winning any awards, but as the hip kids say, were you not entertained?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
I think it's gonna be a 2-star or a 2 for
Okay.
me. I personally would not recommend it. Just because, to me, I feel like who the killer was pretty obvious. And I guessed the plot twist pretty early on. And the plot twist upsets me. I assume that's the controversy you want to get into, so if we're gonna have to put up spoiler panda.
We will.
Yeah, but yeah, that's just
Okay, that's fair.
my opinion.
Shai, what is your opinion?
I think I wouldn't have watched it if it weren't for you wanting me to.
Obviously.
And I think that had I started watching it, I would have stopped watching it because I would have gotten bored before the first kill.
Well, obviously.
But I think it's like a 3.
Okay.
And a half, maybe.
You got a pretty darn good
I was
laugh.
very, yeah.
Too, so.
The end was hilarious to me.
Okay. Cool.
Hence the 3
All
to
right.
3.5 stars.
Okay.
See, I hated the end.
Okay, so we're gonna go on and get into spoilers for a moment because this is a movie that is known almost primarily for its ending. So I'll put up a little thing here to tell you when you can come back if you don't want the ending of this 40-year-old movie spoiled. Okay.
They're so condescending.
The movie ending is, again, kind of why this movie has stuck around. Well, okay, so let's back up. Let's just start with Paige. What about the ending of the movie bothered you so much?
It's already bad enough. So basically the plot twist is that Angela is actually the brother from 8 years ago. So we thought that the sister survived, but it was actually the brother who survived. But the aunt who took him in wanted a daughter, so she raised him and basically forced him to be a girl, basically. So, which that wouldn't have bothered me, I think, if that's all it was, because obviously, like, if you're forced to be something that you're not, and you're, especially after a traumatic event like that, obviously, like, it could manifest in a bunch of different ways psychologically to where it could lead to someone being a killer, especially because people who they killed were terrible to them, right? So, like, that part I understood. What I didn't like, Angela just was a troubled child who was clearly going through something and clearly had certain insecurities or whatever, and all of a sudden turned into like this weird, like, I feel like you should put a picture of that like final scene. Like it just came out of nowhere, made it seem like she was this deranged animal.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. That part I didn't like. They threw her into the water, into the lake.
Right.
So obviously that's going to be a trigger.
Yeah.
But again, I didn't like how it's almost like they dehumanized her. And I think that's what rubbed me the wrong way.
Okay.
Especially because nowadays it is a very controversial topic, because there are people who think that trans people are more likely to become school shooters and all, you know what I mean? Like a lot of things in the media nowadays about people who are trans or non-binary, like that kind of thing. So that's why it upsets me personally, because I don't like how that final scene dehumanized Angela and made it seem like that's what caused it, and that's what I didn't like. I think if that last scene didn't happen, then I would have been fine with the plot twist of the gender thing. You know what I mean?
I know, and they were going for the shock value, if you will, at the end there,
I didn't
obviously.
like that.
And this is, of course, where the controversy comes in, because some people in the trans community say that that this movie ending and twist in that is offensive because it paints a negative light. Others kind of laugh it off and say, well, that's really not the point, though. Angela wasn't trans. Angela was just was just a totally traumatized child whose crazy aunt did this to her, and it had nothing to do with gender, really.
I know.
It had to do with just a total mental breakdown.
Right, but I feel like that last scene, it shows Angela's genitalia in that final moment where she's just totally deranged. I think that's, for me, what makes it seem like they're taking it back to the gender thing. You know what I mean?
I understand. It is clear which side you were on.
I think they could have handled it better.
Well, it was the 80s. They could not have handled it better.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Shiley, what are your thoughts?
So yeah, like you said, it was the 80s. I think it's very of its time.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are a lot of people now that would still think that that was the best way to handle it, which is unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
I found it hilarious because it was just so, like Paige said, it really did come out of nowhere the way that they did that final shot.
Yes.
And again, when I watched it, I thought she had bit through his neck. And just
rather than using the hatchet,
he used a hatchet, which made it so much funnier.
Fair enough. So, do you find the ending offensive, or do you laugh it off and say that wasn't really the point?
I would say I personally was not offended, but I think it's absolutely valid to be offended by it. I think it's not something that should be replicated, and I wouldn't hold it up as this is a great movie for representation or for any sort of current culture thing.
Right. I think that part of the issue is it wasn't about gender at the end of the day, and if the movie were made now, that ending probably would have been tweaked.
I'm sure.
So that it was, I guess, so that it came off more focused on the psychosis part rather than...
Yeah, I think that would have been better.
Rather than, dude looks like a lady.
Right. Well, part of it, I think, also because there's the scene of Angela's dad in bed with another guy. And so that was sort of, and the kids, being kids, laughed and found it funny because they didn't know what was happening. They just thought it was weird to see two adults together or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think
what did that even mean for the story?
Yeah, I think it made a tie there between, the gay relationship and Angela being not really trans, but kind of trans because of, everything, and then just kind of pushing it with the way that the ending was.
I kind of get what they were going for, but I'm pretty sure that ultimately it came down to budget and time constraints, because they had to film this thing in like a 2-week period. So I think that's where we get the rushed ending, whereas if they had been able to just change that little bit, I feel like they were almost onto something.
Yeah, it definitely
and almost could have tied it in and made it work.
Story to it,
but
it almost picture like certain groups in the 80s seeing that movie and thinking that it's like too progressive with the way that they portrayed it. Yeah. Which I think is also kind of interesting that we're looking back at it now and thinking, wow, that's kind of offensive. It's a bad way to portray it. But back then, there are at least certain groups of people that would never agree to watch the movie just because it was too chill about that sort of.
Right,
yeah, I can see that.
They definitely were trying to go for something beyond what that ending suggests.
Yeah.
It feels like they were trying for something and just couldn't pull it off in the end, but as a slasher film, it's fairly run-of-the-mill. They brought on some very interesting topics and dialogue for us to talk about. So
I think if you want like would you consider this like a B horror movie, or if you're in a silly, goofy mood?
There are some really fun elements to the movie, again, just that time period. It's just like, is this the Sandlot or something, They're doing that, and they're doing ridiculous things, little jokes and tricks on each other, the typical sort of thing that well, I say that we all did. I never went to summer camp.
Yeah, me either.
But, No, I did not put you on camera.
I know.
I was very much in trouble for doing that last time, so I'm not going to do that again. So next week we have to have a movie centered around Halloween.
Okay, I'm ready.
So I think I know which one we're going with. And I'll probably change my mind 40 times before then anyway.
You usually do.
Yeah, I usually do, yeah. So, thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining us. Both of the Cattons have checked out for the night. Oh, yep. Over there on the box, you can kind of see him. He's a little tiny dot, which he's really not much bigger than that anyway. So thank you all for joining us. Oh, Shiley's thumb. There you go. We hope that you stay safe, have a great week or weekend, and most importantly, drink great coffee.
Cheers.
Cheers.